Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ABB webinar series, Reliable, Flexible and Sustainable Food and Beverage. My name is Tatiana Milenovic. I'm leading food and beverage globally for ABB, and today will be your host in this exciting session. Thank you for joining webinar Measurement Made Easy with Digital Solutions in Food and Beverage with David Lincoln, Digital Leader for Measurements and Analytics Division at ABB, as a presenter. The presentation will take 45 minutes, followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. For your convenience and to avoid disturbances during the presentation, your lines will be muted. However, we would love to hear from you during the presentation. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to submit them at any time during the webinar through the chat function or in the Q&A session of the tool. Your questions will be answered at the end of the session. If there will be some not answered questions due to time limitation, we will follow up with you and make sure answers are delivered. The session will be recorded and later shared together with the presentation material on our website, so you can share it with colleagues who are not able to join us today. With that, I'd like to hand over to David.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon and good evening, everyone. So my name's Dave Lincoln. I'm the digital leader for measurement and analytics business. I've been working in digital technologies for almost a decade now. I have a background in technology, but I've also worked for a number of years in product management and also on the service side as well. I have a mechanical engineering degree and also a PhD in mechanical engineering and magnetic fields and so on. And I'm based in the UK. So today I'm going to be presenting to you on how we're making measurement easy for the food and beverage industry. I think in this session what I'd like to do is try and give you a bit of a background on some of the market drivers, what is driving the digital disruption that we see occurring today. I'll then speak briefly about some of the measurements that are important in food and beverage processes before going on to some of the solutions that we have developed for some of our customers and how these have helped them using a combination of physical products and digital solutions. And then, as Tatiana has said, we'll have some questions at the end, and there'll definitely be some time for that. So first of all, I'd like to talk about how to make a loaf of bread. So if you're at home and you're producing bread, there are a number of factors that are important in producing a great loaf of bread. So firstly, it's about the recipe, so your procedure, how you follow step by step the process of making that loaf of bread. The ingredients are, of course, very important, having good quality flour, yeast, oil, and so on. And then also the equipment that you use. You need good measuring equipment to make sure that you measure out the right weight of flour, the right amount of water, and so on. And also the oven that you cook with needs to have the right temperature, and you need to be using your skill to ensure that you follow that process and get the bread out of the oven at the optimum moment to ensure that it's perfectly baked and not overcooked. And the environment is also important. So ensuring that the area that you're producing your bread is clean and that you don't get any contamination in your bread that may make your end result not as good as you would have liked. So there's a lot of factors in making a loaf of bread, and it's certainly not a straightforward process to achieve that perfect result at the end of it. Now, to be successful at making 140,000 loaves of bread is obviously a challenge on top of making a single loaf. But basically, the elements that are important in terms of the process, the ingredients, the equipment, and the skill levels and the environment are all key factors. So whether it's one loaf or 140,000 loaves, these are all very, very important factors. But to do it successfully as a business, you also have to then think about other things like productivity, the quality control to ensure that you're following the process and can ensure that every single loaf is always perfect. And that's also very important to think about your people and the skills of your people. And of course, regulatory factors come in here as well, where you need to ensure that you're doing everything in a clean and sustainable way. Now, producing high volume production is very much dependent on automation systems. And these automation systems are a combination of the sensors, the actors like motors and drives and valves and actuators, as well as then the control layer that sits above that. Now, this is a distributed control system that you can see on the screen here. So it has basically the devices at the bottom layer, then the controllers and actuators, and then the systems and screens and engineering levels for the operators to then ensure that the process is working effectively. And this domain of equipment, which is a combination of hardware and software, is known as the operational technology domain. Now you're probably wondering, why is this picture on showing a beach in the background? So this operational technology domain has been operating for many years as an island. So it has been completely segregated from the rest of a customer's or a company's network as such. But what we see with digital is that this segregation is now being eroded. So you see with the introduction of digital technologies that there is now a very clear advantage of linking the IT environment, so the environment where you have your ERP systems like SAP, your HR processes, your everything that you do in the office environment. It's very beneficial to think about linking that world with the operational technology environment. And essentially the place that's converging is with Internet of Things technology. So Internet of Things technology is a way of connecting the two worlds together and allowing the data from both the OT world and the IT world to be enriched and to then develop applications that allow you to understand how your business is truly performing. And that's where the app landscape of digital is now very active and being developed to offer new methods of adding value to people. And it's really using technology trends such as artificial intelligence, digital twin, and contextual awareness to be able to improve the decisions that you make within your business on how to perform and how to operate. So digital technologies can really change very quickly, and I think no more important is than we've seen this in our own personal lives. So I just pick out this example. Back in 2005, when Pope John Paul II passed away, a huge mass of people gathered to be in the moment and to pay their respects for him. And what you can see is that everyone that's here is basically in the moment. They're just talking with their friends and family. There's one person at the back here who has what looks like a Motorola Razr phone and maybe is taking a photo. There's probably people there that have Blackberries in their pockets and collecting their emails. But generally, most people are just there in the moment, and they'll have cameras in their pockets and using maybe a digital camera, maybe a film camera. If you move forwards 8 years to 2013, when Pope Benedict the 16th retired, what you see is a completely different situation. Everyone is there with their smart device. So everyone has basically changed the way they behave and interact with the world. And you know, that's a total market penetration that we see here, and our lives are completely different now as a result of the smartphone and also smart tablets as well here. So that's a real staggering change in how things can be disrupted and how our world can be evolved very quickly due to digital technologies. So this slide here really is showing a graph of the digitalization maturity of different market segments. So what we did in ABB is we analyzed how different market segments had been maturing due to digital technologies. And what we found is that markets like information communication and technology, who really set about digitizing their complete portfolio, you know, their computers, switches, and even developing e-business early on in the early 2000s, they are very mature on this S curve of digitalization. Also, things like the media. I mean, most people don't buy print newspapers anymore. They're reading all of their mail, all of their news online. And similarly, we don't go to the bank anymore to pay in checks or to ask the bank manager if we can have a loan or a mortgage. All of these interactions are now pretty much all online. It's very rare that you go into a bank to do any of these interactions. And just to sort of show give an example how this has evolved for our mobile phone experience, I predicted that the mobile phone was somewhere around here on this maturity S curve. So things are already developing, the market is already maturing, and technologies are developing, but there was still a very long way to go to get to this change. And that change, I would say, back in 2013 was somewhere here, and you know, we've seen mobile phone and smart devices continue to evolve and improve. But I think the main disruption and the main change occurred in this period here, and I think it was 2 years after Pope John Paul passed that the iPhone was released, which of course had a touch screen, a camera. I think a year after they released the App Store. 3G technology was becoming more and more common, so streaming of data of movies and of music became the standard, and that's obviously continued to evolve with 4G and now 5G coming through. The tablet, so being able to do more, moving more onto your smart device and making your computer less of a need, and also the addition of lots of sensing within these smart devices. So they contain GPS, some of them have temperature, atmospheric pressure, they have accelerometers in them. Lots of sensors are there to help you use them with apps to do different things, like a compass, or using it as your satellite navigation system when you're driving your car. So that's how this S curve has worked for the smartphone and for some of the more advanced commercial industries. But when you look at the main industries that we in ABB serve, this change has not occurred so rapidly. So some of these industries have not yet really adopted these technologies. And I would say that, you know, we're all sort of more like the Motorola Razr level at this stage, rather than the iPhone X or something like that. And that's been really because the cost of using digital technologies has been prohibitively high in the industrial space. And also there has been some behavioral points that really have meant that there wasn't such a need to evolve. This idea that if it isn't broken, don't try to fix it. But clearly we start to see now that these industries are evolving, and as I said about the disruption and how a lot of control systems are starting to become connected. This is something that we are beginning to see in all industries, including food and beverage. So I think what you can expect over the next decade is that food and beverage will evolve along this S-curve, and there'll be some key trends related to that. And some of those trends will be technology driven. So I think it's very, well, it's guaranteed really that plants will become much more autonomous. There'll be full predictive capability on all of the equipment in plants. Blockchain will become much more standard as a technique for checking that food that's being transported has been maintained in the correct conditions throughout its logistical travels. But I think there'll also be some human behavioral things that will change things. So, for example, sustainable products and alternative protein sources. We're starting to see a lot more need for sustainability, and certainly if you go to a fast food restaurant these days, they're now having paper straws as an example, as we, the public, become more and more conscious of our impact on the world around us. And I think also I'm quite looking forward to having some 3D custom printed food of my choice of what it looks like and what it will taste like. So there's going to be a lot of interesting changes occurring in the next decade in the food and beverage market. And I think when you look at the solutions from a solution perspective on digitalization, I think it's also clear that it's possible to target the solutions based on a particular customer's needs. So here I've picked out 4 key areas where we in ABB feel that we can really target our solutions to help with specific issues. So I think regulatory is a clear one. This is only, requirements for regulations on safety and on environment are only going to get more stringent. Productivity needs are only going to increase. And on the skill side, I think there's a major change in how people learn and consume information now. And I think that's a real difference between our sort of 20-year-old YouTuber generation and our sort of technicians and engineers who are moving towards retirement in how they consume and use information. And certainly that shift is creating new challenges for organizations as the older generations retire, taking with them a lot of that information. Is how do the newer generations still, how are they able to still perform in a good way and do the things that the older generations who are retiring were doing without having such deep knowledge. So there needs to be an adaptation of how people are trained and the level of knowledge that you need to maintain and run a plant effectively. And of course, connectivity. Connectivity is the foundation here. It's about getting data from where it is currently to where it needs to be to give you the information that you need to make the decisions when you need to make them. So this is very, very clearly how we are able to evolve and target issues that exist and provide solutions in those different areas. So if you look at food and beverage processes, it's clear that measurement is very important. So I've just picked out some of the key processes within food and beverage. And the ones that I'm going to focus on today are really around mixing operations, blending, and also heat exchangers, and how digital solutions can really advance those, or examples of how digital solutions can advance those processes. So when you look at ABB's offering from a device perspective, we have a complete range of flow, pressure, level, temperature, including our recently released non-invasive temperature sensor, which doesn't need to obviously cut into the pipe, which is obviously a key advantage for food and beverage, where you have real stringent requirements around food safety and ensuring that things are not in contact with the processes that can change the properties or add bacteria and so on. As well as water analytics and gas analytics, digital recorders and controllers, and also positioners and actuators. So the solutions that we're going to talk about now, which are from the blending and mixing and also the heat exchange examples, are going to use and focus on these particular product types, so flow meters, level, and digital recorders. So the first example that I'd like to talk about is around alcohol blending. So we had a customer come to us who was using manual methods of measuring the alcohol concentration, and they were doing this measurement partly for regulatory requirements, but also because it was good to understand how their processes were performing and what the alcohol concentrations were like throughout to maintain high quality. Now, in a recent audit, they'd been asked if they could shift to automated online measurement of alcohol. So they came to us to ask how would they be able to do that. So what we identified is that within one of our smart devices, our Coriolis mass flow meter, this device already has a density mass software algorithm that could be enabled to be able to take the measurements of concentration. So that was a tick. We have a device that will measure exactly what they're after. Now, from the regulatory side of where they have to keep that information for a minimum of 2 years, we are also able to connect using Modbus communications the Coriolis meter to the paperless digital recorder, our RVG200, and we were able to then display for them and log and record concentration, temperature, mass flow, and density. And this device has 24 channels, so it was able to operate up to 6 bottling lines continuously through one recorder. So one of these connected to 6 of these. And also they wanted to be able to have that data in their control room rather than just having to be in front of the device to understand how the concentrations were changing and to be able to see alarms if anything changed remotely. So we were able to also offer them the Data Manager Pro software. So this is a software package that also backs up the data coming from the recorder. It also allows you to do some post-processing of the data and look at trends in the data, and also analyze the alarm function. So essentially we were able to offer them a complete solution from the device measurement right the way through to the recording and the secure storage and backup of the data. So the customer was very, very happy there. But what they were also getting when you look into it a little bit more deeply, because we have a strategy of surrounding our devices with digital solutions, they were actually accessing a complete ecosystem of software apps that would improve the way they perform that function and help them with their needs. So we have some configuration and device management software called Field Information Manager. So this was there to help them to easily configure and commission the device and also look at the device alarm history and so on. We also we're able to provide them some verification software, so a software tool that can check the health and accuracy of their devices, as well as the a skills app, which I'll come on to in a moment, which is called My Measurement Assistant. So from the Coriolis meter perspective, there was a whole array of software that was there to help them get that device installed, commissioning, running effectively exactly how they wanted it, at a relatively low skill, with a relatively low skill requirement. And the same sort of thing from the digital recorder perspective. So this digital recorder has a built-in web server, so you can Ethernet link it and remotely manage it from the comfort of the office environment. The Data Manager Pro software was the thing to allow them to securely back up and analyze their data. And also we have quite a nice piece of software built into our digital recorders and other devices that displays a QR code on the display. And this QR code contains both identification information about the device, so the serial number, the hardware version, software version, all of this kind of information. But it also contains a complete diagnostic view of the device and all the alarm history. And we've added this function so that our customers can easily take a photo of these QR codes on the display, and they can either email that directly to us if they have an issue or a question, or they can use our My Install Base app to send that data via the app with their question to receive help from us. So you can see that there's a lot in the background that's there to help our people with and customers with productivity, regulatory, connectivity, and skill set issues. So this was I think a good example to show of how a customer coming to us with an issue of wanting to automate their alcohol measurement concentrations from what is a portable process, and how that would look if they were able to automate it. So now just wanted to talk about the My Measurement Assistant app. So we developed this app about 18 months ago. We started. So this is a website effectively. It's a web application that is free to access, and it contains a lot of the information about our devices around troubleshooting and commissioning. And I mentioned already this changing skill sets and how people consume information now. So what we've done is we've basically created YouTuber style videos. So for every process that you might have, you're able to basically run through a checklist. So you have maybe a device to commission. There's a checklist which will take you step by step from getting it, getting power to it, right the way through to configuring it into the system. And each of these individual points, there's a 2 to 3 minute short video showing how to do it, and hopefully this is streaming okay, so you can see on your screens one of these examples. So this is showing someone how to go through checking the basic meter setup and what buttons to press if they're doing that through the touchscreen display. This web application also has contact information, so if they need to reach their local specialist, they're able to do so. It also has a spare parts catalog, so you're able to find the parts that you might need for your device. And we've recently added error code checking. So what that is if anyone's ever been in front of a device and they've seen that the display's flashing and maybe there's an error on the screen that says something like F2.013, and you're thinking, what on earth is that? This app, you go to the app, you type in that on the in the particular field, and it will tell you what that error code means, and also, more importantly, it will tell you what you need to do to clear it and get your process running again. So we're adding more and more capability to this app, and I think this is a very exciting area. I think the difference between developments of physical hardware is the process of evolution is relatively slower. I mean, we may add software features each year, but the physical device largely will not change from one year to the next until we have a generational change where the hardware platform is updated. Whereas in software world, we're on our fourth or fifth sprint now with this software. We've added additional features, we've added more capability, and we're adding more and more devices to this app continuously. So this app now works with the Coriolis process flow meters, but we're adding more and more devices later this year. Now, another example, I want to just talk about the beer brewing operation. A customer in the US came to us because they wanted to improve the process around the boiling of the wort, the sugary solution that's in the kettle that is there to then turn into the beer. Now, they had all of their piping in place and everything was there, so they came to us wanting to control this process, but unfortunately they hadn't left very much upstream downstream pipe work, straight lengths of pipe work on either side of their flow meter. And when they'd looked at the different technologies for measuring steam flow, they'd appreciated that maybe they didn't have enough straight pipe work at the inlet and at the outlet to achieve the accurate measurement that they needed. So we were able to offer them a swirl flow meter. So this is a technology that doesn't require a very long straight inlet or outlet section and met a very high accuracy requirement. So as a complete solution, we were able to offer them the swirl meters, the digital positioners that don't consume any air during normal operation, so are good on the energy efficiency for the compressed air, as well as the discrete controllers to manage the process right the way through the complete beer production process, from boiling right the way through to end product. So again, this is a good example of how a device can be used to meet that specific need of the customer. But what they were also accessing is a suite of high value apps to help them with that productivity and lowering the cost of ownership. So just like the Coriolis meter and the digital recorder, this swirl flow meter is supported by a range of software. Again, most of these software apps have free use versions, so it's not like there's a huge investment. And again, the apps, because of our platform approach, are the same. So if you're trying to configure a swirl meter or a pressure transmitter or a level device, whatever it is, we have the same software app to do that. Just like the health checking, we have the same app, and then the My Measurement Assistant. And we also have augmented reality support, which we can offer as well to help customers with their issues remotely without needing to be in front of the device. So I now just want to go through the verification software. So this is as I say, there's a free version of this software. There's also some enhanced and premium versions, but this is a software app that allows the operator to check the health and the accuracy of the device in a very easy way. So this is a very simple, clean interface. It's fast to perform the tests. It's a technique that's there for, I think, two key reasons. One is if you can check the device health regularly, then it can help to reduce downtime. But also from a regulatory perspective, it's quite important in certain applications that you're able to show that you've checked the health of these devices and that the measurements that they're taking are accurate. And so this software can also generate a test report to show that it's been tested for quality management system performance and conformity to things like ISO 9000, 9001. So it's a very useful piece of equipment, and also you can keep the data in from each test, and you can look at how the different diagnostic pieces of information are changing over time. So you might see a trend of the data for a particular diagnostic slowly creeping up towards what would potentially lead to a future fault. So you can identify faults before they occur, and then offer a way of fixing it during a normal clean down procedure, rather than halfway through a batch process the thing failing and causing you a headache. So this is a really useful piece of software, and again we've got it covered across a lot of our devices, so all of the flow meters, both the active ones and a lot of the legacy devices. And then we're adding all of our instrumentation to this software within this year. So it already works with level devices, but we're adding pressure, temperature, and positioners within this third quarter. So this is, I think, a great piece of software that's really helping customers increase their productivity and lower that burden of knowledge. So I think what I see and what we're appreciating is that our customer expectations are changing. And I'm just going to use a customer example here to describe how this expectation is evolving. And so this is a customer who has a level measurement need. So they have a mixing of some juice, and they need to improve the product quality, and they recognize that having a level measurement will help them to achieve that. So I think, the first thing that they need, number one, they need reliable and accurate measurement. That's key. But they're also thinking about total cost of ownership. So what is the initial investment to buy the equipment? But then what is the ongoing cost? Can it be installed and commissioned by their own technicians and maintenance team, or are they going to need experts to come in and help? And then does it need any maintenance going forwards? And I think, having sort of described this digital maturity curve of how things are going to evolve over the next 10 years for the food and beverage segment, is the asset future proof? And it's worth thinking about, is that measurement going to be the right measurement still, and be able to supply the data how you want it to be supplied in the next 5 to 10 years. So in the customer buying process, what you have is there's the awareness phase. So we've identified a need for level measurement, and then comes the education phase. So here it's about understanding what is available on the market that might support your need. So firstly, with this reliable and accurate measurement, I think food safety is a key aspect here. So a non-invasive measurement would be ideal, and I think there's a few different techniques. You've got radar, ultrasonic, and laser measurement. I think the challenge with this application is that there's a stirrer, a mixer within the container. So you need something that's unaffected by mixer blades as well. So that's certainly a consideration. Now, total cost of ownership is a combination then of the product life. Who's it made by? Are they a reputable company? Is the quality good? And then from a labor perspective, what's the maintenance effort like, and what burden of knowledge is needed by the site to maintain and keep this equipment running throughout its life. And then from a future proofing perspective, what are the upgrade opportunities that may be available, and does the company that you're working with have a digital strategy? Are they interested in co-innovating in future? All of these kind of things will be there in the back of the customer's mind in how they approach this decision point for this particular device. And so in this case, I chose this level solution. I work for ABB, so I'm of course biased, but I chose a laser level solution because it has a very narrow beam, so I can angle it away from the mixers. And if I have to take it through the mixer blade, then I also know that there's good algorithms in the device to filter out the interference from the blades. I also know that it will work even if the liquid changes from one batch to another. There's no calibration needed as if the color of the liquid changes. So there was a lot about that particular laser level device that made me think this is the right measurement for this solution. And then in terms of the total cost of ownership, there's a range of apps there to support the installation, commissioning, and operation and maintenance of the device. And then also, I think from is my asset future proof? You know, we invest a huge amount of money in digitalization and are really there to help customers write the future of industrial digitalization and realize the value that can be achieved through data. So I think you'll find that all manufacturers are really, investing above the device level. So what you have on the left here is a pyramid from device, automation system, enterprise level, software, and then cloud software applications. And so we, like many, are investing heavily in the software layer. And I think we recognize this is a way that we can really generate new solutions that will help customers with their needs, from connectivity to skills to productivity and for regulatory purposes. So I think it's clear that digital is adding new value opportunities. And, as I showed, a lot of these software apps are actually free. So it's often without high investments. And we in ABB are here to answer those today problems as well as tomorrow's, and we have specialized centers and techniques we can employ to help our customers understand how they can increase their productivity and solve problems. So please talk to us if you have today problems, but also if you're thinking about how you want to evolve your plant in future to increase your productivity in various manners. And I think it's important to say that digital is not an end destination. It's a journey. So, you're going to be going through this evolution continuously in future. And it's, so please reach out to us and we can help to get you on the right path if you have questions in that area. Okay, thank you very much. So I'll hand over back to Tatiana for the questions.
Very good. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
It's now time for a Q&A session. So please submit your questions either in the chat or Q&A section of the WebEx tool. So David, there are already a couple of questions, so let's get started. The first one, so I understand health and accuracy of ABB measurement devices can be checked online. Is that so?
Yeah, so a lot of our software tools can be used from outside of the main network. So we all of our devices use standardized communication protocols, and we have software that can be run on that network to connect to the devices, and also methods of connecting to those devices through the operational technology environment, and offer solutions that are running remotely as well.
All right. Then the next one is, does a smart devices and non-invasive form with equal accuracy as the traditional device?
Yes, so all of the tests that we've done show that they perform as well, and in some cases better than a more conventional thermal well or invasive measurement technique. So these non-invasive measurements, the way ours works, it relies on certain process conditions being in place, but they're common process conditions that you would experience within a typical food and beverage liquid process. So yeah, if you talk to our sort of local sales team, they'll be able to advise whether your application will work correctly for non-invasive. But it's I think it covers, I can't remember the percentage, but it's a high percentage of the normal cases that you would experience in a plant environment.
Very good. So the next one is, when will digital conductivity be available? Also, why is AWT 440 only digital and not compatible with analog inputs, same as AWT 400?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not an expert on that particular device type, so if you'll allow me, we'll reach out to our colleagues and come back with an answer there. I mean, all of our transmitters today, I mean, maybe the first part, all of our transmitters are able to transmit the data from our devices in a digital fashion. So I think the device does offer some different solutions from a communication protocol perspective. So I think that part is covered. But yeah, I'm not so aware on the second.
Yep, we'll get back to on that question. So the next one is a software. Is it an annual fee or one-time payment only?
So on the verification software, where we have a few different versions. So there's a version that's free to download. That will give you a basic health check pass fail report or result, so you know whether the thing's working correctly or not. To access then the capability to trend results and look at health certificates and store all your data. That version is sold on a usage basis. So it's usually you buy a bank of say 10 tests, and you'll be able to test all of your sort of ABB instruments using those 10 tests. There are, I mean, within ABB's portfolio, there are some software applications that are offered on a perpetual basis. So I think the Field Information Manager, which offers most features free of charge, I think the chargeable version is a perpetual license, and that allows you to configure devices when you're not connected to them, and also store device configurations offline in case you need to do a quick configuration and replacement of a device in the process. But as I said, most of our software solutions there's a free to use version. My measurement assistant doesn't have any costs associated with it. So it's I think again, if you have specific questions about a particular software, then please reach out to myself or to one of your local team, and they'll be happy to help.
All right, so the next question is actually about my measurement assistant app. It's available for flow meters. When it will be available for other devices?
Yeah, that's good question. So we're already doing the testing for it now for pressure, temperature, positioners, and thermal mass flow. So yeah, I mean, usually it's about a 3-month cycle from initiation of the sprint development to release. I would say we're somewhere halfway through that. So I would expect to be doing testing myself and doing some checking with a smaller group from beginning of August. So hopefully we'll have that out yeah, by the beginning of September.
Very good. So, are there any additional questions? If you have one, please type in.
And if not, if you'd like to reach out to me separately for a discussion about, you know, your own company's experiences or challenges, then please, yeah, my contact details are here, and yeah, we can have a conversation.
There is one. Let me read quickly, David, before we close. So, hello about the software. I see there are some licensed versions. Yes. What are the differences with the free version and when you buy an extended version of the software? Is it an annual fee or in one time paying only?
I think that's the same questions
Yes.
we had previously. But
So,
yeah, as I said, there's the verification software is account-based license, and then the field information manager is you get a perpetual license with that software, as far as I understand. So, but again, yeah, please reach out to your local team, and they'll be happy to advise.
and David, let's take one more. So, does the instruments have options for wireless connectivity, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth?
So today we have a number of wireless heart devices. We continue to add wireless heart connectivity. We do have Bluetooth on some of our analytical equipment, and we'll be looking to add more in future. So the answer is we also have a flow meter with near field communication connectivity, where you can use your mobile phone to output logging information and also do configuration. So yes, we have a strategy around local wireless and long range wireless connectivity. So yeah.
Very good. So, all right, I think we are now at the end of the webinar. David, thank you very much. Thank you to all participants. And see you next time. So, goodbye, everyone.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good day. Take care.
Good day. Bye.
Bye.